Hey, sorry I haven't uploaded in a bit. I've been making videos, but they just aren't turning out the way I want them to. Look, there's an unreleased collab I did with Oma Monster. They aren't coming together the way I want them to, and I only want to release content that I'm really motivated to release. Oma and I will most likely try to record again in the future, but there are a few things that get in the way, such as the fact that I was sick in the hospital. That's right, I tweeted that I was in the hospital due to minor complications in my left lung. Fortunately, I am okay and have been feeling better, but because of that time lost, there were other priorities that I needed to fulfill before I could get back to uploading YouTube videos. I'm not on a consistent schedule yet, but I still plan to uphold my promise to upload Roller Champions content all the way up to release, so hit the bell icon so you can be notified every time I upload. Also, if you want to be featured in videos, be sure to follow me on Twitter, as this is where you can receive all of the updates on my channel, as well as find out how to get involved with videos like this one. What is your favorite mechanic in the game? Probably pumping, to be honest. I really enjoy how smooth the skating experience is. I also really like the roundhouse kick because in previous instances of the game, its hitbox has proven to be super effective and underused in a lot of situations. Do you think there is a place in RC for social features like crews? Sort of. I like social features, crews, clubs, all that, but I don't think it's a day one necessity. Every time these features get introduced in games, I rarely see myself use them. They're neat, but they add very little to the actual experience. When I want to match with my team, esports for example, we'll all just use the same profile picture. I've always thought that setup looks nice and clean. If you use features like clubs regularly, let me know why. Super interested to talk about that more. What do you think the RC team is working on to make it a good release? I'd like to imagine they're looking at the drawing board to find the secret sauce, so to speak. They're really digging deep to figure out what this game needs to make it equally appealing to both casual and competitive players. Because it definitely has lacked a casual audience up to this point, I'm hoping they are reconsidering certain mechanics, like bounce ball or team jump, things that add very little to the gameplay experience in my own opinion. It's been a while since we saw anything though. For all we know, this could be totally flipped on its head when it comes back around. PAX West 2021 was announced to happen in September. In your opinion, what are the chances we will see Roller Champions there? I don't have a lot of experience in those conventions personally. I'd say it's unlikely, given they were in a much more prepared situation when it was PAX in 2019. They were ready to show off the game, they were ready to promote the game. It's hard to say they're still ready to do that, if that makes sense. I'm hoping to see it at another Ubisoft Forward, actually. One wasn't directly announced, but it seems they really enjoyed doing those conferences, so one could definitely be on the horizon, regardless of whether or not it's been stated anywhere. What features or mechanics would you add if you had that ability? I love talking about this one, team moves. I want a new team move. There used to be a children's game when I was young called Red Rover, where people would group arms to form a link, and people would run at them to try to break the link. It's very dangerous. I wouldn't recommend it, but I think it would be cool if we had a defensive team move where players could link arms and spread out, essentially creating a moving hitbox that would clothesline an opponent that failed to jump over it. It could be effective when they're coming down from a high wall and pumping the whole way down to try to get speed. I am not a developer though, so for all I know this could be useless or horribly broken. Still fun to think about. If you guys have ideas for fun mechanics, let's talk about them. What RC opinion of yours would get you this reaction? I think people are a little surprised when I talk about how openly comfortable I am with Roller Champions taking a long time to release, to the point where I try to avoid talking about it as much as I can. I don't know. I'm just a really positive person. I've got a billion other games to play, and while I wish it was already out so I could go full throttle, pedal to the metal, it's not, and I accept that. Roller Champions VR. What if? Would play? I think Roller Champions in VR or even in first person would make for a better animated video than it would an actual video game. All of you animators out there, we need to see something crazy. The idea of seeing this game from that perspective would be so cool. If you were a developer on Roller Champions, what is one thing you would add? I'd add a free play training map that doesn't have a time limit, score limit, or requires laps to open the net. I've spent so much time in custom games by myself making the lap to try to shot, getting a 5-pointer and having to reset the lobby, or being on the verge of landing a cool shot and having the timer run out, forcing me to restart. It really pulls you out of the experience, and I'd like some sort of unlimited roaming added to free play. The most underrated player in your opinion? Jwist, Psychos, Rhythm, and Yosu are forces to be reckoned with. I think there is a lot of talent in these players in terms of skill that has yet to be recognized, and there will be a time where you see them smashing the esports scene. Especially for Yosu, I think eventually there will be a time where the memes surrounding Yosu will sort of slow down, and given things like professionalism, good attitude, and work ethic are present, he will have a lot of opportunities ahead of him that I don't think people realize he might have, both inside and outside of Roller Champions. Do you think that the difference in skill between beginners and pros is high enough for a competitive game? I think this can be a little subjective, so I want to preface this by saying my answer is not be-all, end-all. None of these answers are. I think this answer depends on whether or not you find the game's skill to come specifically from the game's mechanics or from the game's strategies. The mechanics in Roller Champions are fairly easy to get the hang of because they follow principles of muscle memory, and while some people definitely still struggle with the basics, one who is really interested in getting good shouldn't have a whole lot of difficulty doing so, provided they are invested in learning and practicing. I think the skill gap in Roller Champions will be present through things like coordination, team chemistry, positioning, rotations, mental fortitude, consistency, and efficiency in predicting things like ball bounces and opponent movement. These are things that aren't mechanics in the game, but are still pretty heavily needed if you want to perform well, and these apply to a lot of competitive games, but they definitely apply to Roller Champions, and I urge anyone hoping to play Roller Champions for esports takes this into consideration when preparing to compete. That does it for this video. If you like what you see, I have more content surrounding Roller Champions than anyone on the platform, and you can subscribe for free by clicking that little red button to stay totally up to date on this wacky game and its even wackier developmental path. As mentioned in the beginning of the video, you can follow me on Twitter to stay up to date on the status of Roller Champions, my YouTube channel, as well as get involved in future videos such as this one. Thanks for stopping by. I missed you guys. Have an awesome day, and I'll talk to you all soon.